Okay, so after cropping, usually the next thing that I do is I want to work on white balance, make sure that my colors are correct in my photographs. And so the next thing I do after I crop is I come down here and I deal with white balance. Now, as you've seen before, you can choose these presets if if you're working in a raw image, or you can use the presets over there if you're working a JPEG. They'll lay on top just as well. But there's another way to do it, and to be honest, a lot of times auto works pretty well. But if you want to take it to the next level and get it really close, as close as you can to the exact neutral, no color cast to your image, here's a great tool that you have in the develop module, and it's this little eyedropper right here. Tell you what, first let's reset it, and now let's do auto, brighten it up a little bit. But you see how it's got kind of a little color cast? I know this background's supposed to be neutral gray, but it's not neutral. As a matter of fact, you know how I know that? If I look, just hovering my magnifying glass right here, and I look over here at my histogram, watch what happens over here when I drag this over. You see the numbers are changing? If that was neutral gray, the red, the green, and the blue should all be almost the exact same number. They should be something like, what, maybe 36, 36, 36, but you see how there's a difference to them. Well, that's a clue of what you need to be doing. If you grab this little tool right here, the eyedropper, it picks up, and now when you bring it over here, watch what happens. You get this little readout that says pick a target neutral, and that should help you know what's going on. You need to find a place that's either black, white, or gray, and just simply click on it. Watch what happens. I click on it, and now it takes out that color cast. And as I hover back over that background, look back up here, and as I hover over, those numbers should be pretty close to the exact same thing. That lets me know that I've gotten rid of the color cast. But I can undo, let's undo. I can come over here. I don't just have to do it to gray. I could do it to white. I know the shirt's supposed to be white, so I click on it, and it takes that shirt back to a neutral setting. And I could also do it with black. So it's a great way to balance out your photos and bring them back to a neutral cast without any color cast on it. But that's just the base. You can decide, well, maybe I want it extra cool. I can even crank in some tint. There you go. But remember I said everything's non-destructive, so I can go, no, that looks like crap. I just bring my tool back over here, click on it, and it brings it back to gray. That's basically your neutral eyedropper. It's going to bring everything to a neutral. So what does that mean? If I take and bring this and click on her pants down here, watch what happens. It's going to create a color cast on the other places while it's trying to bring those back down to a neutral gray. So you got to be aware of where you click on it. Sometimes you may think something's gray or white or black, and it's got a cast to it and it throws it off. So when you're going to want to be extra careful with your coloring, you may want to do something like this. You may want to bring along what's called a target, a gray card target. And notice it's got white, gray, black, and a different kind of white, and you can even got a little silver over here. What you can do, for an instance, you've got a model shoot. The very first shot you do, you have them hold up the target like this. You take a picture in that environment all set up in the very first shot, and then you have them throw it away. You won't need it for the rest of the time, but if she was holding that target up right now in this picture, I could simply take my eyedropper, drop it on the gray, boom, and I know I've set the white balance for that environment perfectly, and I can apply that to all the rest of my images. That's very important when you have to get color specific. It's so much so that Scott, in all his books, when he's dealing with Lightroom, adds a gray card in the back of his book right there that you can, it's perforated, you can tear off and take it with you. You don't even have to buy a target. But now you can have your model or whatever, hold that up, your bridegroom, if you're out doing a shoot, engagement or whatever, hold that up and you know you've got a specific target that you can click on to set your white balance for the rest of that. Remember, that's a global thing that happens across the board for everything in there. Even if you have a JPEG, it will still, with that target adjustment, it will change the white balance of it to whatever you need it to be. Now, if you need to really get specific about color, say you're doing catalogs and stuff like that, you can go another step higher, where you can do something like this. Notice you've got the white to black over here, but you've got all these colors that you could then, you take a photograph with this being held up, and then you can match that coloring afterwards in Lightroom to really get specific colors. But if you're getting to this level right here, you probably know what you need to do, and that's a whole nother lesson, but the options are there. As long as you know that that's where you need to go, you can figure out how to do that. But for most of you, you're going to just be able to use this eyedropper, find a gray spot, a white spot, or a black spot, and take out that color cast very simply and very easily, and set your white balance for that image.